Hi guys, welcome to Colorful Threads, and I am Juliet. And today, what we're going to talk about is I had someone comment that they wanted to know how to add a template into the software. So what I'm going to show you today is where to get the information on the version of software that you're using, because you might not be using Design Shop 11. If you're not, I would say upgrade. We can put links for that down below, but so I want to show how you do that and how absolutely easy it really is, because I am starting to work on a personal project for an outfit from the show called Shadow and Bone and the Sun Summoner, and kind of obsessed with it right now. So I want to turn a black jacket that I have into a jacket that resembles hers with all of the puffed embroidery going down. So I need to have a template to go by. I need the shapes to go by so that I can piece it together, because it's probably going to be more than one sew out to get it going down, and there's down the sleeve. It's a really intricate jacket. I'm just going to build it piece by piece. So I want to show you how to go about doing that. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to go to the MELCO service website. So that looks like this. So basically what you can do is melco-service.com, and that will bring up a page that looks like this. So you have, machine and everything, but what's important on this page is the FAQ site. The FAQ site is where they put any and all information related to anything that they've got going on. And it is so full of info. And what we're going to do is find out what file types we can actually open and work with in here. So up in the search bubble, I'm simply going to type file type and see what articles it brings up. So quite a few articles, but really the only thing I need is this first one, this first supported file types. So this is going to tell me what in the OS types of files we can open, what design shop files we can open, we can save as, what type of graphics we can use. So this has all of that data in there for you to go and see what software you're using and what file types you're able to work with. So we're talking about a graphics file. So I'm going to go to I'm working Design Shop 11. I'm going to go to Design Shop 11 graphic file types. And this is going to bring up the article that's going to tell me exactly what type of files I can use in Design Shop and what type of files they are. So first page just basically says choosing a file. So the second page of this article has graphic file support. And this is the data that's important. This is all of the files we can work with. We can work with these vectorized ones. You got your EPS, EMF, SVG, SVGZ. So these are all going to bring in those vectored images as if you saved something from like Illustrator or CorelDRAW and you save it out in that format. We can bring it in and work with it, and the shapes are going to be there. But what I'm working with doesn't have any of that. What I'm working with is going to be a raster data type of file, one of these up here, the PCX, PNG, JPEG, bitmap, something you take with your phone. You could take a photograph of you wearing a t-shirt and bring that in, because that's going to be a JPEG. You can bring that into the software, and then you have maybe a different collar you're working with. Maybe you have a really pretty blouse and you want to add some collar designs to it. Take a picture of you wearing it, bring it into the software, and then you have a template to go by to build your design on, so that it's going to be in the shape and the size that you want. So these are the types of files we can work with here. If you like the content that you see in my video today, don't forget and hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to see anytime I post new videos, you want to hit the bell and tell it always. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up to this video. So I did a quick search for Sun Summoner and checked on images, and this is what I'm looking for here, is this piece here, this jacket here. So I'm just going to right click and save, and it's going to give me that PNG. The PNG is a file I can use. Let's see, I have a folder for this already. All right, now it's on my desktop. Okay, now I have the image on my desktop. Now I'm gonna just drop that into my design shop. Open desktop. You can see I already started it with a thumbnail. So now I have my image in the software so I can work with it. And I'm not going to make my shapes exactly like what's on here, but I have a good template to work with now. So I'm going to go in and, give a measurement from here to here. What's my shoulder measurement of my jacket? Maybe if I use the shirt that I'm actually wearing, we can see what a measurement would be. Shoulder to shoulder for me is 20 inches. So I want my graphic from the shoulder seam to the shoulder seam. Now, if I had my jacket here with me, I would measure that seam, because then you're going to enlarge that graphic and make it an actual size. Because when you're doing your embroidery files, you want them to be in actual size. The size you're going to sew it out at. So I need my template to be actual size. So the measurement tool is right up here. It's the ruler. The first measurement that I get is, 2 inches. No, we need 20. So I really need to up that graphic size. So you're going to go over to the side of the tree, and it might be that way. We're going to go to the tree, and you need to select the graphic itself. And that's what you're going to enlarge. So you can see it's 10 down here. So I probably need to make this more like 80. That's going to blow it up, and it's still going to pixelate it, but that's fine. I'm using it as a guide. So let's get my ruler and measure again. Now we're at 16, so we're almost there. So this probably actually needs to be more like 100, right? We'll zoom out a little bit. I'm going to get the ruler and measure again from my points, and I'm at 20 inches. So this is going to be about the size that I need to create these in. So there's no shapes to go by. I have to create all of these shapes myself. Now, if you're using the pro level of the software, you can try to use some of the Stitch Graphic Region tool, which is going to be up here. It's called the Stitch Graphic Region tool, and we'll click on it and we'll see how close our shape gets. Because it is a raster file, it's got to make a decision about the color of the pixels and what it's looking like. So let me change this color to be like a really nice green. Yeah, see, it didn't even bring the right shape in. So let me pick that and zoom to it. So yeah, see, it's even though I got a really good graphic, by the time I blew it up so big, I completely and totally lost the uh, the pixels of it. Doesn't matter what level the graphic is at, because when you're drawing stuff and you're building stuff from scratch like this, because you're bringing artwork in, it's never going to be pretty. The software does as good a job as it can, and most of the time you just get, as you can see, blunt shapes. So do I want to go ahead and make all of these shapes using that tool? I also know that if I try to convert it to a vector and then convert it into embroidery, it's still going to give me like a blobby kind of a shape. So I'm just going to draw this from scratch. I'm not even going to try to automatically do it because I know it's not going to do good. And if I'm going to spend just as much time editing the shape, I can build it from scratch quicker. So I'm going to delete that, and we're just going to start off with these shapes. So it comes to a point, it comes to a point. So this particular think because these are going to be so big and because they're going to be puffed, I want different file, I want different property boxes. So I want fill properties to play with when I'm dealing with this tool. So I'm going to use the fill tool to draw this, where you could use the column tool if you wanted to, but see, that's when it gets into what are you trying to create? What does your design need? I'm not going to have any walking stitches whatsoever in this. It's just going to be big blobs of color. So I'm just going to take my fill tool and I'm just going to draw the shape and get it pretty good. I'm doing all right clicks because it's all just curvy stuff until I get to the end and do my start and my finish point. We'll give it a stitch direction to get going. So I know that this is going to be puff because on the jackets it's raised. So I'm going to go ahead and do some really interesting things with this, and we're going to set this up. I have a really, so when you're doing puff, you need to do two different types of ends with your puff. You need to do what's called a pinch, where your puff comes down to a point, or you need to do a cap, where you have an open edge of a letter and you cap off the edges. All of the shapes in this design lend themselves to being pinched because I can make it to points. I mean, it's supposed to be like rays of a sun, so I can really make them whatever I want. But my last piece over here doesn't come to a point. So if you hold the shift key down on the keyboard and then you click on the round point, which is what I have now, it will convert it to the opposite, which is a straight point, because you either have a straight point or a round point. That straight point now will give me the ability to make this pinched. So, but I'm not quite done. Let's turn off the graphic for a minute so it's not busy in the background and we see our shape. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit more. So we're going to be doing a really cool thing. I need to go into this and add some lines, because if you look at the design, right, there's lines in it, and there's a couple of really interesting things that you can do with the software. First thing I'm going to do is add some more stitch directions. So I need a good stitch direction here because it's going to go up towards the end, and then I'll come into the middle and give a stitch direction just so that all my stitches are going kind of across the wave. And if I turn on my 3D, you can see all these stitches. Now, if I measure this, this is pretty wide. This is 133 points. This is over a half an inch wide. A half an inch wide is going to be a lot of threads hanging out that can get snagged on stuff. So I want a needle penetration, and I want to give some shape to this with a really cool, not very well known tool. This is my new tool that I have fell in love with to give some a needle penetration. What it does is it's over here on your toolbar side, which could be over there. And it's under insert splice. So if you have a tool that has a little black triangle and you left click and hold on it, it will send a fly out menu because there's more options. So you could insert a splice. That's not what I'm looking for because splices go from edge to edge. The next one is curved splice. That's still going to be curved, but it still goes from edge to edge. So that's not really what I'm looking for. If I go to the insert hole tool and you hold it down, you can put a hole in this fill item in any shape. Could be shape of an eye, it could be any letter. Or you can insert a splice line. This splice line does not have to attach to the edge of your artwork. So if I have that selected, I can go inside this piece and carve it and put a crease or a fold or just a line. We're going to hit enter here. So see how it puts an indentation in that? Let me turn these tools off and go back to the pointer and take this away. So see this really neat line now that I have? So this is a really cool tool that you can use to add veins to leaves without the having to touch the edges to add detail. What this tells the software is when it's doing its stitches, no matter what your stitch length is, when it hits that line, stops and puts the needle down. So in this half an inch now, it's going to have a line, which is going to make it look like there's two kind of running across there. That's what I'm looking for. Now, the other thing I have to consider is the fact that this is fill, and I want this to be pretty satin stitches. So when I was playing with this, I found that if I go to the properties, I can change it from the preset fill to a common auto split, which is going to split that half an inch. I also want to tell it no satin stitch lines, so I turn this tool off. So that's this tool. We turn that off, and I'm turning on the split and apply. This is going to take all of those fill stitches now and turn them into pretty satin stitches. The other thing that I want to do is in my underlays, I want no underlay for the second one, and the first one, I just want a nice zigzag. But here, you can't tell the parameters of the zigzag what you want to do. So I'm going to actually click on it. Double left click gets you into your properties. Right click properties will get you into here. And you're going to go to your underlay, and now you can actually tell it what you want. So I want it to be absolute, and I want it to be on the edge. So I don't want any penetrations in interior of this because it's going to be puffed. So let me turn off the 3D for a second, and now you can see those beautiful zigzags. And what that's just going to do is just hold down that foam, that puff foam, while it comes back and does this pretty thing, because this is going to be pretty long. This is what, 5 inches long? Yeah. So this is a really cool tool, and not very many people use it because they don't know about it. But I just wanted to kind of show that to you, as well as show you how to bring in your graphics. You could take a picture and bring it in. Doesn't matter where you get the graphic from. Just bring it in. Know that it's not going to go automatically, and just know that you're going to be drawing that, because the person that's going to bring you this to you is either going to be yourself because you're doing a project like this, or they don't have graphics for their designs. But most people that are coming to you and wanting things done are going to have good graphics for you. So I hope that this will help you be able to bring in some designs and work with them. I'm going to keep working on this until I get it finished. Uh, I actually have been working on the other section of this shirt, but yeah, I'm going to keep going until I get all of this section done, until I've filled my hoop. And there's my shape. So add a graphic, add a template, if you will, but this is how it's going to go. You're going to be hand drawing it, which takes time.